Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for tonight's Howay The Lasses, a celebratory Howay The Lasses, as they were confirmed champions on Sunday with, what we can call a very large 10-0 victory. If you were at the game, let us know, or if you're watching it on YouTube, let us know how you thought they did. I thought it was absolutely outstanding. The atmosphere seemed to be absolutely electric, and Sam probably had a very big hangover. Good evening, Sam.
Good evening, and yeah, I honestly, my voice is only just recovering.
Yeah.
I ended up out again on the Monday night. It was just amazing. I mean, a defeat. It was a thrashing. It was a pulverizing.
Yeah.
It was executed beautifully. What an amazing day for the lasses, for Becky, for the ownership, and especially all of the fans who turned out. It was unbelievable day.
Yeah, I mean, look, over 7,000 there, which was absolutely incredible for a start. Just shows how popular the Lasses team is getting now. And the performance, I mean, those Lasses could have gone out and been nervous as hell, but the performance was just summed up the day. It was outstanding. We've got a couple of guests coming on as well. Aaron's back on. She's probably still nursing a hangover. Of course, did the commentary with Razor on YouTube on Sunday, and we've got Ed coming on as well to talk about. Well, Sam, you can see what he's going to be talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was I was at the match on Sunday, obviously, and after a show that we did the other night on the Friday Fan Forum, I came to learn of Ed Waff and his amazing work that he has been doing. And if you were at the match on Sunday, you may have seen these flyers dotted about. So this is War Bella. It's a fantastic stage show that's been put together based on the history of War Bella. I'm not going to have any more teasers right now because we'll let Ed come on. It's absolutely fascinating though, and got some really brilliant stories to share. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yep, absolutely. So we may as well bring our guests on. Of course, we'll introduce, you all know her. Aaron, good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
We're all right. We're not too bad. And of course, we got Ed with us as well. Good evening, Ed.
Hiya.
How are you doing?
I'm canny. I'm still recovering from.
Oh,
hello.
We've lost
10-0. 10-0. Why did I give Huddersfield 1? 10-0.
I don't know. Why you would do that, but yeah, exactly. Aaron, it was a cracking day. Obviously, you know, when we spoke to you a couple of weeks ago, we were building up to this, and it was always going to be, I think, Newcastle's to lose at the end of the day, the amount of points they had on the board. But going into Sunday, I mean, I know you did the commentary with Razor, and it was brilliantly put together on YouTube as well. It was fantastic commentary, really summed up the day. So well done to you and Razor for that. It was a really good listen. But the crowd there as well, over 7,000. I think it's a little bit more than they anticipated. I think they're anticipating maybe 5.5, 6. But to get over 7 was just incredible.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. The crowd was they just kept coming through and out of the gate, and you were like, oh my God, it's getting full, both stands, then either way. And it was like, I looked and was like, wow, like we're going to break records today. And that's exactly what happened. It was the perfect stage to win the title. It literally, the script was writ from the beginning for Georgia Gibson to come on, and she loves big games, especially even St. James's Park. And she came on, and it had to be her for the winner.
Well, I mean, look, the cross came in and it kind of just hit her, didn't it? It's just like she is always in that place, whether it just hits her or she heads it or she kicks it. Yeah. It doesn't matter. She just has the knack of getting in front of goal and the ball ending up in the back of the net. And I think I was a little surprised she didn't start the game, but was that down to injury, Aaron?
Yeah, as far as I know, she took a knock through the week. She's normally one of the first on the list, and yeah, she didn't start, but I had a good feeling that at some point she would have to make an entrance, and she did, and it was one of those. She just got her body in front of it. It come off her body and went in the back of the net. But yeah, it was absolutely a fantastic day. Yeah. I
just want to.
Like that, I lost my voice.
Well, I think Sam, it wasn't just the quality of the performance. Some of the goals. I mean, Emma Kelly's that lob, and then scoring within the first 15 seconds of the game. I mean, it was just a perfect script, Sam.
Well, I tell you what, I was there, and I had our Tom, one of our admins, sat on me left. I had PD Proudlock on me right. I had Lawrence, who normally comes to the fan forum, in front of us. And we had the Up the A1 family. Forgive us, I think it's Debbie, Paul and Tilly.
Lovely family, lovely family.
Absolutely. We were all there. I tell you what, we were hardly even settled into our seats before Kelly got us started. We were just, and the whole crowd went mental. And the War Flags was absolutely excellent.
Absolutely tremendous.
Excellent effort as well. So it was just a phenomenal day for everybody who attended.
That first goal though, Sam, it wasn't a punt upfield off the kickoff or anything. It was a lovely work goal, and KB with a perfect cross, and bang, Emma Kelly's header was just as well positioned as you can ever get. Geordie boy, thank you for your super chat early doors. £1 for every wonderful goal. Get on the lasses. You did us proud. Thank you very much, Geordie boy. If you do enjoy tonight's show, by the way, please give it a thumbs up as usual. And if you're new to the channel and like what you see, please do subscribe. Free to do so. Hit that notification bell as well so you don't miss any live shows or any recorded. You can become a member of the Toon Review by hitting the join button just underneath the four of us. And of course, as Geordie boy has done so tonight, you can donate to the channel if you do so wish by hitting that $sign at the bottom of the live comments, which will guarantee your comment to be read out on the show. Ed, obviously a big fan of the women's football as well. I mean, how do you sum up Sunday?
Well, I actually thought it was that was the first women's game that I've been to. I do follow it because my wife takes my granddaughter and my son takes my granddaughter. They went down to Luton the other week. And I like to try and think it's their thing together. But we went there on Sunday, and I thought the football was superb. I just thought they used the wings brilliantly.
Yep. Oh, he's got a little bit of
the quality of football. Okay, you can only beat what's put in front of you, and they did that. And it was just overwhelming. As I say, the quality of football was superb, absolutely superb. And I was just enthralled from the very beginning. I mean, obviously, that was just great. Now, as you say, what a cross and what a header! It was just brilliant.
Yeah,
it was just all of the goals were well worked, and I was, as I say, I was really, really impressed, and I'm looking forward to going along next season.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I think there'll be a lot more season tickets going next season for the Lasses. I really do. Judge it by the feedback that I've got since that game and moving forward, I think there's going to be a lot of demand for tickets, which is fabulous. I mean, considering it's going to be the championship, the step up a level of football, it's going to be even better to watch. Everybody's excited about who they'll bring in the summer and what Becky can do with the team moving forward. I think at a certain point, though, Aaron, people have got to take a step back and say, right, we are going into the championship, which is a very, very competitive league. And Newcastle, we can't have the expectation just going in and waltzing that league as well. It is going to be tough. It's a progression. But, I mean, where do you see them going next year?
So, there is a very big step up between Tier 3 and Tier 2. And, they have got quite a few, 4 or 5, Charlotte Potts, Stobbs, Geordie. There's a few that's got a lot of experience that have actually played in the Championship and the WSL. But ultimately, it's not going to be any sort of walkover. Like from my point of view, there definitely won't be any complacency. They'll be going in there. They'll probably look at the squad over the summer. Maybe bring a few more players in. They've already brought in the likes of Bailey Gale, Lumsden, Cataldo to strengthen it. And they've come from the likes of Palace at the top of, the Palace are fighting with Sunderland currently at the moment for the title for the WSL, to go into the WSL. Yep. So I think, especially the younger ones are going to gain a lot of experience from it. But ultimately, it is going to be hard for them. It is. And for me, it's going to take a couple of seasons. A lot of people might get carried away and think, back-to-back promotions already. They'll go in there and waltz that league. But I can't stress enough this step up from a tier 3 to a tier 2 is obviously quite a big jump. So then they'll need to go in and settle in, and the squad they've got now, will be able to compete. Don't get us wrong. Do I think they'll go straight to the top of it? Probably not. They need to strengthen in certain areas, but ultimately, in my eyes, 2 to 3 seasons, and the WSL is crying for them, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Jody Boy says they were all great, but an extra shout out to Katie, Anthony Gordon Barker. I just love watching her play. I've said it before. I just think she epitomizes everything about the Lasses team. Every single thing about it. KB stands out a mile for the energy, the passion, everything about it. Peter Stafford, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. Much appreciated, my friend. Welcome to Members Club. And up the A1R in the house with the super chat. Thank you very much. Yes, Sam, was great to have a chat, and what a great atmosphere always is when we go to see the Lasses. I love up the A1 family. They come and see me whenever I've been to St James's Park, and they've been up there. So great to see so many faces going to the Lasses game as well. I'm going to get I think I'm possibly looking at getting a season ticket for the Lasses next year, actually, with my daughter. So because of the issues I'm having at St James's Park, but that's not for tonight. However, speaking of St James's Park, guys, a lot of fans are feeling that this could have been at St James's Park, this game, and it got let's just say it, treble, quadruple, whatever it is of the crowd. Some people have said, if they'd have got to St James's Park for that game, they could have brought in at least 30,000. What do you think of that? Sam, we'll start with you.
Do you know what? I mean, I would have personally absolutely loved that. That would have just been the cherry on the cake. But I won't take away from the occasion, because although playing at St James's is such an honour, as they have done already this season, and I know that they would have brought the game, and that would have been just an even more of a special moment. I actually love that it was at Kingston Park. It's where so many of those celebrations and so many of this part of this journey has been won on that pitch. And I think because of the record attendance, because of the size, it felt really connected. It felt really fluid as a crowd as well. And there was just so much of that. We were all there together as part of this really special moment. And I kind of sort of liked that it wasn't like the big Elephant Stadium. Like it was just that smaller crowd of really dedicated fans who just wanted to be there for that really special moment. And I mean, the back-to-back promotion, ownership and attendance. Darren Eales was there as well. And just everybody being there to see those Lasses lift the trophy was absolutely phenomenal. And now on to the championship. I think for me, what I'm probably most excited about is the next season derby days. Well,
there's a lot of people in the chat already, Sam, saying they hope Sunderland don't go up so they can have a derby at St James's Park. That would be monumental, wouldn't it? I mean, Aaron, do you feel the same as Sam with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone loves a game at St James's Park. Absolutely, of course they do. But there's a lot of things mechanical in the background to get set up in such a short space of time for it, for health and safety. So, Kingston Park is the Lasses ground for now, and it is more of a community there. You see the same faces. So nothing against it. I would have loved it at St James's Park. I would have put the cherry on the cake, and Sam's right there. But it was also fantastic at Kingston Park, But in regards to Sunderland, would I love that? I would love it more than anything. At Derby, one of my old bestest friends from years of playing football, we'll go back a long way, me and Bella Reay, who's the Sunderland women's manager. It would be fantastic to be playing against them. But it's very close at the top. There's nothing in it between them and Palace right now. So one slip up, and it means they would stay in the league. So we'll just have to see. But ideally, that everyone loves a derby, and Durham will still be in the league. So we're still going to have a tie and we at Derby. But ultimately, we all know black and white and red and white. We love that game, don't we?
I mean, Ed, has what you saw on Sunday, has that given you the impetus to sort of say, right, the football's going to be even better next season because of jumping up a tier? So has that given you the impetus to maybe get to more games and start supporting the Lasses? Because I know it has with me, and just doing this show as well.
definitely. I mean, it was brilliant. I tell you, obviously, I thoroughly enjoyed on the what was on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you what, I really enjoyed as an observation, just how nice and relaxed the atmosphere is.
Yeah.
Because you don't have drunkards, you don't have drunken yobs, you don't have people swearing. And you can take the children. It was beautiful seeing how many children were there, young children who, they're going along and they're supporting their team. They're supporting Newcastle United and they're supporting their club. And I definitely, there's not a question. Like I say, I'll definitely be going next season. And the other thing is as well, it was only about £6 to get in, or £5. Yeah. And that, again, that's encouraging, that's inclusivity, and that is brilliant. That's what I really like. I just want to make the point though about St James's Park. The highest all-women gate was in 1920 when the Dick Kerr ladies played a representative team from the northeast. And I
can't remember that, Ed.
Well, neither can I. But there was 30,000. There was 30,000. There was 30,000 there. And what I would love to do is beat that. I would love to see more than 30,000 at St James's Park, to beat that record that stood for over 100 years.
Do you know what though, Ed? I think if there was a derby match against Sunderland at St James's Park next season, I think they'd blitz that, to be honest. If they can get like 20,000 odd, even last season when they played Alnwick, you're talking about a derby, which could be a very important game in the league next season. So for me, they would absolutely blitz it. But what I'm going to do now is I did have a load of pictures, and a big shout out to Colin Locke for this, because I've got a lot of pictures of his X account. I emailed him to just say that I was using them today but I'm not going to put them up one at a time. I've basically, me and Susan got together this afternoon and we've done like a collage of photos from the day and a couple before Sunday, just to put them all together rather than putting them up one at a time. It's a couple of minutes long, and it just sums up the spirit for me of the Lasses team, really, and what it's all about. So just enjoy the next 2 minutes, guys, and reminisce of a fantastic day on Sunday. So there you go. Just highlighting Sunday there. There's some brilliant stuff in there. And I think, Aaron, it's going to live in the memories for a long time. People will say, oh, it's the third tier. It doesn't matter. It's the champions. These are the things that these lasses work extremely hard for. And after the disappointment, what happened in the final down in Luton, this just makes up for it for me. Just a wonderful, wonderful day.
Of course. No, 100%. Like, it made us quite emotional, that video. You did a cracking job of it.
Thank you.
No,
Well,
yeah.
Susan put the photos together. I downloaded them. She put them together. I put the music on and edited it. So we both had a go at it.
No, it was absolutely fab. I did some interviews after for Newcastle TV, and I grabbed quite a few of the fans, and there was a group of girls, and it wasn't just the girls; it was everyone I went along the line and had a couple of minutes with, and like a lot of them, it was leaving that legacy, and it was inspiring. A group of lasses said, I'm really most of them played for Cramlington United, and they looked like they were about 13, 14-year-old, and they were like it really inspired her, and to think that we can become professional women's football players, and there's a future in women's football, was just fantastic to see, and it made us quite emotional because, as me standing in them shoes 20 years ago, that wasn't possible unless you hit international level. I was fortunate enough to get there, and, a couple of years later. But I mean, all them little girls in the stand, and seeing them jumping up and down, and everyone you seem to speak to, they were all playing football from all different levels, from under sevens to under tens to nines, and it just went on, and they were all just looking and in awe of these players. And I think that's what hit the nail on the head for me, that the kids looking at them lasses out there like heroes, and effectively they are. It's fantastic for the Northeast. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's only going to get better and better. Obviously, the funding's massively there now. Amanda's so behind the women, it's untrue. You'll have seen, if you've watched videos, seen her run on the pitch. She was standing behind me for most of the game, because where I do the commentary from, the director's box is literally right behind me. So she was standing watching the game, and we all see it, and we know what it's like for PR when you see people putting their arms around, and it's all for the pictures and all that. She's just it's not like that. It's so genuine. She was getting emotional. She was crying. She was very personal with the players. You see that, then she knows them one very well. So it's not just like, they see it every now and again.
You could see that actually, Aaron, when they were getting the medals, and then they were going past Amanda. She was just everyone was hugging her, like they were all family, and that really touched me. Because I thought, that's, you don't find that at many football clubs.
No, you don't. You really don't. And it's not just the people behind the scenes that have got it all working from the foundation upwards and built it over the last 2 to 3 years. It's even the fan base to the war flag. So obviously Sam was mentioning before, that's all charity based, and those guys put some hours in, and the flags that it went out and what they're bringing out every week is world class. There's nowhere like it displays flags like them. And again, it's just really, really inspiring, and to see some of the players. I mean, Colin, I think that's where you said you got some of the photos from.
Yeah, I sent him a message on Twitter before we came on, just to make sure he was all right. He didn't reply, but I obviously, I know he'll not have a problem with that, because again, I know I've spoken to Colin a few times, but I think what I think we need to talk about is what Potsy did with her medal, because that was so emotional. I believe Colin said something about she got it back or something, and I don't know what happened with that, but that was just a lovely touch on the pitch from Charlotte.
It was one of them moments in sport that would go viral, and it was so humbling. Charlotte Potts is one of these people that she's a leader. She looks after the younger ones. She takes them all under her wing. She's got a good sense, a good head on her shoulder. She's very, very well balanced person when you speak to her, and you could just see it. I've seen it unfold the way she looked at him, and I'm the same as you, Paul. I know Colin, and he always speaks to us, and he's a great bloke, phenomenal. And she looked over, she looked at him again, and straight away it was like he deserved it more than any of us. And because he's part of the family, because he's always with them, he goes everywhere with them, and he adores them lasses, and he knows his women's football, and he's been around it for years, and he hasn't been great in health. I'm sure he wouldn't mind mentioning that.
No, absolutely.
Was the meaning of it behind it was the fact that the first thing she thought about, not about the medal for her, not about for anyone else, she went straight over to Colin, put that medal around his neck, as though to say, that medal belongs to you, as well as it belongs to us, so, in the cup. So, like, I'm getting emotional talking about it.
I know. Well, it was one of those moments, though, Aaron, wasn't it? But
yeah,
I mean, Sam, the thing is about Potsy is she's not just such a lovely person, as Aaron's just put there. She's a hell of a footballer to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know what? And Aaron's mentioned that, and how great for like those younger generations coming through to actually see that type of talent and skill, but also that humanitarian quality as well. We've got such strong characters. All of the lasses are fantastic, but as Aaron mentioned, Potsy being such a leader, being able to be such a driving force for inspiring, but actually proving our worth on and off the pitch. But then that gesture at the end, and for anybody in the chat who maybe doesn't know what we're talking about, Aaron just alluded to it, like after getting the medals, they had the celebration. I don't know about for anybody else who was there, but seeing that, it was like a slow-mo moment, and like Aaron said, you could almost see exactly what she had in her mind, like the double take, and then it was like that slow walk over and just putting it around his neck, and it was just so special to see. But she's just phenomenal at what she does, and she's just been a huge part of the success of the team this season. I can't wait to see what she does next season.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Ed, we're quite recently I'd say I was recently new. I've watched them for a couple of seasons now, but like you mentioned before, Ed, there's such a community spirit, not just on the pitch, but in the stands. And there's a big connection between the girls and the fans, and I think we spoke about this on the last show that Aaron was on. There's no airs and graces about these lasses. They don't sort of think they're Billy Big Shoes or anything like that. They've got time for everybody, and that makes the women's side even better, really, because it's got that connection between players and fans. And obviously so many young ones going to the games. It can only be a massive plus point for bringing talent through in the future who maybe thought a couple of years ago, women's football, around Newcastle, we nothing's happening. But now there's such an inspiration for a lot of young girls.
Well, definitely. I mean, my 8-year-old granddaughter, she goes to Whitley Bay Football Club, and there's dozens of them. We take the, two young girls who are playing, and that is absolutely brilliant. But you see, the huge difference between now and when Aaron was playing is that women's football is on television. At Newcastle, we're getting 7,000 there, more if we play at St James's Park. And what they've got now is role models. Now, I don't know, Aaron may well have had role models when she was playing, but there weren't that many. Today, there are a lot more, and they're seen more. And the other thing is as well, obviously we want to try and get as many young girls playing football and turning professional as possible. But in addition to that, I just think football is about teamwork. It's about enjoying it. It's about being fit, getting fit. It's about meeting new people, and it's a whole new world. For remember, prior to a number of years ago, 50% of the population were excluded from playing football, we just it's a huge hurdle to overcome that. But I definitely think it's happening, and it's gaining momentum. I mean, women's football is the fastest growing sport in the world now, not just in Britain, but obviously worldwide. And I just think it's incredible what's happening. I love it. I love to hear about it. I love to watch it. And I love everything about it now. I think it's great. Yeah.
And I think that's what helps as well, Aaron, playing at Kingston Park. You've got, I think, going to Newcastle games in the big stadium at St James's Park, you sit with people you've sat with a long time, and you know them over the course of a season or something. And, when you've got a season ticket. But up at Kingston Park, you've got that real community feeling where people, they're not worried about going to a football match. They're not worried about any trouble or anything like that. It's all just to go and experience the fantastic football that they play, to meet new people, as Ed's just said there, to start friendship groups, if you like. It really is that kind of community now at Newcastle Women's, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. and it's very family orientated. Like Ed was saying before, it is, you know, all the amount of kids, the families turning up, and it's all good and well being at St James's. More love St James's, but again, it's that's tenfold. It's much bigger. It's much more personal at Kingston Park. It fits, and it fits right for now. The odd game at it's St James's Park is brilliant because it gathers more, you know, more audience in. The more obviously the tickets go out, the bigger the stadium, the more you draw people in, and then the filter through to come. You get another bunch that come end up watching and going, I actually like this. You know, I've watched a couple of games of women's football, but I've never been to one. They go to one and go, oh wow, I love the atmosphere, I love the family community. It's dead calming. And the next thing you know, they turn up at Kingston Park. So you've got another load of 500 joins in, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until the point where, you know, they'll be filling Kingston Park on a weekly basis, and then you've got to look at bigger premises from there.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's the, now they've gone up another tier, what's the rules on the pitch and stuff? Because obviously it's artificial, the Kingston Park, isn't it? If I'm right.
Yeah.
Is there any rules now they've gone up again, or will they have to look at that in the Super League?
No, as far as I know, I could be wrong here, but to my knowledge, Kingston Park with a 4G pitch is fine for championship level.
Right.
Once you go to WSL, the ball game does change because you can't play on a 4G pitch. You would have to be playing on grass. But for now, it's the right sort of size. Again, health and safety. What people don't realise is the reason why Newcastle would have been asking for people to buy tickets online prior to the game was all down to health and safety. Now, I think Kingston Park holds about 11,000, 12,000, or has got the capacity for that. But even if we, you know, there had been 11,000 turned up, but only 8,000 bought tickets online, they wouldn't have been able to get in because they didn't anticipate. And they've got to get enough staff in the background to make sure it's obviously the safety's there. When you see it online, it's better to get the tickets online. Then they can kind of guesstimate how many staff they need to be able to cover the amount of people coming in. And that's obviously for safety, that has to be like that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, Sam, it would be lovely one day that maybe they do what Manchester City did and put all the facilities together, have a stadium next to the Etihad where the women's team play, and then obviously they can play the bigger games at the bigger stadium and things like that. I mean, that's got to be a long-term goal somewhere along the line, Sam.
Yeah, certainly. And Chippers has just mentioned the very same thing in the chat, actually. And I think that's got to be part of the aspirations. You know, we're a club that has goals and dreams of being a multi-club organisation. That's what we want to go for. And I think an interview with Darren Eales actually spoke to that matter, that the women's team were a huge part of that journey and have sustainable revenue. Ed mentioned it earlier that it's one of the fastest growing sports, if not the fastest in the world. And if we sort of take out all the romance of it and the passion from behind it, it's a commodity. It's a revenue stream for the club. Not to mention how great it is for the community. As we said, we're building role models here. I think having it so accessible, there has to be an element of obviously it being televised for free to grow the fan base as well. Obviously, you know, Aaron does the commentary if you're not able to get down on a YouTube, so make sure you do check that out. But I think it's fantastic that actually we're a club built on hope and dreams, and sometimes it's hard being a Newcastle fan, but wouldn't that be just amazing to actually get to a point where we're thinking, yeah, we're at that level where our fans and our lasses need a better ground. Let's do it. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. And Ed, that's the goal, isn't it? You've got to have these goals and dreams, or you just become stagnant.
Well, yes, and I think, I mean, the buzz in the last month has been incredible. Obviously, you know, the final in Luton, unfortunately, we didn't win. But it was a buzz, and people, it reminded me very much of when Newcastle got to the FA Cup. There was a buzz, and people were talking about it. And we've got to have Newcastle United men and Newcastle United women working hand in hand. You know, they've got to be together. That's the important thing. We want Newcastle United fans to see the women's football as part and parcel of their heritage, if you like, and their enjoyment, you know. So if the women are doing well, which they have done, it's given the town a huge buzz. I felt that. I personally felt that, talking to people, and you know, you go to pubs and things like that, and you talk to people, and they're talking about women's football. They're talking about the Newcastle United women. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, I think that they are. I think what's happened this season, especially, this season for me has brought the lasses more into that family of Newcastle United. You know, the way it's been advertised, the way it's been promoted, the way the lasses have played, the way the social media works with the lasses team now. I think it's all just really coming together. And the more promotion that the lasses get with the likes of this and other channels, you know, being at the games and all that sort of thing, it can only be a good thing. What do you think the plans? How do you think Becky's feeling now going into the summer, Aaron? You know, there's going to be players obviously leaving. There's going to be players coming in. It's a big summer for her to try and get the balance right, really, isn't it?
It is, and I'm presuming, I don't know obviously, but I'm presuming there'll be some really hard conversations to be had.
Yeah.
She'll be ecstatic now, and you know, they've got to enjoy that win. Of course they have.
Yeah.
But in sport, you know, I had to travel to play for a WSL team. I had to go to Doncaster Bells, and ultimately you've always got, you enjoy the win, of course you do. You're playing cup finals and on huge stages and things like that, but you enjoy it, but you've quickly got to flip it back and go back into kind of work and mental mode. And I think that's what Becky will do. She's very level-headed, and she's aware that they'll enjoy and go through the celebrations and absorb what they've done, and it's like, you know, take a step back and go, wow, we've done back to back. We now need to focus again, pre-season, take a break, come back, and it all starts again. And obviously for the club and for Becky and Sue, and like, their ultimate goal will be to obviously now to win the championship and move into WSL. That's the goal. Amanda said it on the pitch herself, and that was always from the beginning. That's always been that aim, to have a North East team in the WSL. And she'll be back on it. She'll have her conversations that she needs to, and then again it goes down to focusing, and then the lasses will be back into the swing again. And it's one of them. As a manager, she's got to spin 10 plates, enjoy it while you can, and then you reset and you go again, and that's where she'll get to in the next month or so.
Yeah, and this is what's very difficult for a manager, Sam, especially someone like Becky, who seems to have a fantastic relationship with all the players. You know, it's a bit like when you're getting told you're not going through the next round of X Factor, isn't it? She's going to have to sit down and have very difficult conversations with some players in the future, and that's what Aaron's saying there. You've got to enjoy this moment now and let the dust settle, and then get back into managing mode again, really, and start planning, because that's, you know, Becky's job doesn't start when pre-season starts. Becky's job kind of never ends over the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, she already alluded in the sort of post-match interview that, you know, that she's already started planning for next season. Listen, for me, you know, she's an absolute professional at what she does. She's fantastic. She'll be preparing to have those conversations, or have an idea in her mind, you know, who's perhaps not going to make the cut. Obviously being mindful about, you know, rotation, who could maybe be brought on like as, you know, secondary and sort of lower end of the squad. But I'm really confident that she'll make the right decisions. We've already seen some fantastic signings this season. So I'm personally just looking forward to seeing who she will bring in. I think we spoke about it on one of the earlier episodes as well, that it's going to be, it makes it slightly harder because we are, you know, the first team in this league right now who's been able to allow the lasses to go full time. So this means that a lot of those women who've had those career breaks, who've put other dreams and aspirations on hold to do this, and rightfully so, they want to take a shot at it, they are going to have a really hard time, because it's going to be quite a bump to reality to go from being on this winning streak, being played to do what you love most in the world, getting the promotion, being part of that winning team, to maybe going back to reality. Or in my idea, I would love it if they could continue, and maybe some more teams in the current league will be able to actually go full time or at least part time to support them.
Yeah. Well, obviously that's for the summer. It's all about the now, and we still absolutely buzzing about what happened on Sunday. Now, Sam's got some questions for Ed about the stage show and things, but there is a few more people in since we last played the montage. So we'll do that once more for people who didn't get to see it, and then we'll hear from Ed about the stage show and more from Aaron on where next season goes. So enjoy for another couple of minutes. So there you go. And I will be putting that up on the socials a bit later on tonight as well, if you want to go back and watch that. PAB's asked a question. I think, Aaron, you might know this. Guys, I've asked this loads and never had a reply. I do apologise. Remember the American lass who signed for our Lasses last season? Where did she go?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure where she went. Last season I watched a couple of games, but I wasn't massively involved. So
yeah,
I honestly don't know.
So there you go. She's out there somewhere, though. You can guarantee that. You can guarantee that. Right, Sam, do you want to try and
for sure.
grill Ed about the stage show?
Easy. Well, let me know how this goes, because it was really fascinating to actually learn the backstory of this, and it was actually the lovely Aaron who introduced me to it after my rant on the fan forum. If nobody saw it,
I can't remember what rant. What rant?
I don't. I
can't remember that.
I was really. I've got to give it. Yeah, I was so impressed with that because
it was tremendous. It was absolutely brilliant.
Something that needed to be addressed and. No, I thought you dealt with that fantastic.
Thank you so much. And you know what? I don't plan to do it again. My warning shots have been fired. I am voicing my opinions on a public forum. There's always going to be trolls and.
Well, he won't be watching tonight, Sam. I guarantee. He probably. Well, he actually probably is.
Yeah, he might be.
Good evening, Quat. Anyway, sorry.
Warning shots were fired. It doesn't need to be said again. I think I've made my stance clear. But it was Aaron who actually mentioned, because I made some references to the history of women's football. And funnily enough, our guest tonight, Ed Waff, is the creator of a fabulous stage show, which has been doing phenomenally well in London, and it's coming to the Theatre Royal. As I said at the start, you may have seen the flyers that are being handed out at the end of this month. It's going to be in the Newcastle Theatre Royal. Ed has written, he's a playwright, he's written a few scripts, and it's been absolutely fantastic learning about the history for myself. But Ed, why don't you tell us about War Bella? Who was she, and what makes her story special?
Well, Bella Reay played for Blythe Spartans, and she scored 133 goals in 30 games during the First World War. Now, at any standard, that is an incredible, any standard of football, that's an incredible amount. And the women in the First World War played football because they were, when men were conscripted after the slaughter on the front in 1916, early 1917, women moved into the workplace and they became munitionettes, and they worked in industry, and they saved the war effort, basically. And there was millions of them moved into industry. And so they started playing football because I don't know if you ever heard it, but the First World War was supposed to be over by Christmas, and it wasn't. And the government made no provision for the wounded soldiers, the dead soldiers' families, the wives, and the orphans. And these women in the workplaces started kicking the football around. Well, men's football had been banned in 1915. And so they thought, well, why don't we start playing women's football and get spectators along? There's a huge void, especially in working class culture, to get these women to football because it wasn't played. So these women started playing, and from the off, they were getting 3,000 people turning up. And it was incredible. It happened all over the country. And people would pay sixpence, which is equivalent about £1 50 pence today, and they raised a lot of money. Raised a lot of money for these wartime charities. And what made the Northeast unique was that these games were all friendlies. There were no leagues, but we had a cup, and it was donated by a Sunderland businessman called Alfred Wood. It became the Munitionettes Cup. And we played in this region. So the south of the region, from Middlesbrough, Stockton, Teesside, North Yorkshire, Darlington, all of the Teesside areas, they played each other to see their top dog. The Weir, the Tyne, and the Northumberland, they all played each other to get their top dog. And in the final, in March 1918, Spartans ladies played Bocklow Vaughan workers from Middlesbrough, and it was a 0-0 draw at St James's Park. And there was, people don't believe it when you say to them, look, there was 18,000 people over 100 years ago watching women's football, but there was. Now that game ended in 0-0 draw, and they went to Ayresome Park, the home of Middlesbrough, for the replay in the May, and Blythe won 5-0. But what was stunning about it is that there were 22,000 people turned up to watch the game. It was huge, absolutely huge. And this is a love letter, if you like, to the heroic women of the Northeast who had been airbrushed out of history, because they were, when the war ended, they were just told, go home, become baby machines again, look after your man. Women's football limped on until it was banned by the FA in 1921. And it was banned for 50 years, and it's a disgrace. So this is for the women footballers of the Northeast, and it's a story told through the eyes of Bella Reay, who was the centre forward, the Alan Shearer of her day. And Alan's done some stuff for the play. He's done a to-camera piece as well. And Dan Byrne, obviously, being a Blythe lad's done a thing that's got about 70,000 hits now and views on Facebook. He's done a trailer.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say as well, Ed, you know, when I started to research this, and, you know, Alan Shearer features in the play, and like you said, like Dan Burns promoted it as well. And I think that's what we all are really loving to see now. I think we saw after the Lasses game, you know, Eddie did a congratulations, as well as Lascelles, Gordon as well. So I've actually having these big names from the men's side congratulating the women, but also promoting something like this as well, is absolutely incredible. And sort of the Alan Shearer sort of cameo that he sort of does, the to camera cameo that you've got, that features in it as well. And I think you're also doing something special with the programs for that too. Is that right?
Yeah, Alan did it. I mean, I was brought on the same council estate as Alan, and I went to the same school, although I'm 10 years older. And when I wrote him, he got straight back, did the filming, and he didn't want anything for it. He's just, Alan, he's brilliant. He's really supportive of anything Geordie, especially football, and obviously supporting the women here. And so what we did on the first run 2 years ago, where it sold out lots of venues, we had a bucket collection and raised 500 quid. But this time, Potts Printers in Cramlington have printed the programme, and at the Theatre Royal, we're going to be selling the programme for a £5. It'll have the script in, so it's a book, basically. And every penny of that will be going to the Alan Shearer Foundation because of Alan's support.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely
fantastic.
brilliant. So, go on, Sam.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to, where can people get tickets and when does it start, etc.?
Well, we're in London next week, and that's sold out. I mean, we were down in London and we went to the Dolphin. Do you know the Dolphin in King's Cross? It's where the Newcastle fans congregate, and it was fantastic. And there was in a tiny little room, there must have been about 70, 80 Newcastle fans. And I spoke and said about Bella, and they applauded, and I was really chuffed at that, and people were taking leaflets. So the London run next week is sold out, but it's not this weekend, but the weekend after, the 27th and 28th at the Theatre Royal. And it's a Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. And the tickets are going really well. You know, we're really chuffed. Again, this is about working people in the Northeast. It's about my plays. I mean, I've written plays about the likes of Harry Clasper. Have you heard of Harry Clasper? He was the rower who invented he was a Durham miner who invented the sport of rowing that we know today. Durham miner, Joe Wilson, who was born 100 yards from St. James's Park. You know, he wrote Keep Your Feet Still, Geordie Hinney and more. And there's lots more. Glenn McCrory, you'll know who Glenn is. Carrie and David, who wrote his life story. And this is about Bella. It's about working class people, ordinary working class people who do extraordinary things. And it's an incredible story. But it's not just about football. It's about the rights of women and the way women were ill-treated after the First World War. For the FA to ban women's football in 1921 was nothing more than an absolute scandal.
Well, I've just seen a comment flash by in the chat saying, where would women's football be now if the FA hadn't have banned it when they did? How far more advanced would it be to this day? Probably a long, long way from where it is even now. Just it was a shocking thing to do that. I mean, I don't think anybody can believe that happened, but it did.
Well, the thing is, Paul, right? It's only effectively the last 10 years or so since the professionalism's come in that women's, and also because it's free to wear on television, that women's football has taken off. And you know, these women from over 100 years ago, are the women today stand on the shoulders of these women. But I have to say as well, the footballers of today stand on the shoulders of the likes of Aaron, because she played football when most women weren't allowed to play. I mean, she has her own stories. It wasn't women's football over the age of 12 was banned by the FA over the age of 12. Mixed gender football in 1902. That wasn't rescinded until 10 years ago. So the likes of Aaron couldn't play. I hope I'm not taking your thunder, Aaron, but I hope Aaron couldn't play against older boys. Isn't that a scandal? You know, to me, it's a scandal. What Aaron did and her generation is absolutely incredible. And even that generation who were allowed to start playing again in 1971. And remember, that was a time of women's liberation, 1971. So it's got a social context, all of this women's football as well. And I think today reflects, while there's nowhere near equality for women, I have to say that, but it reflects a more challenging, a more confident working class woman, the way football is played now. And long may that last, you know. Long may
absolutely, absolutely, because there's still some dinosaurs out there, isn't there, Sam?
I mean, I can't believe it.
I mean, he's just a tosspot. There's so many of them still out there. By the way, bless him, Colin he's just messaged me back saying, "Hi, Paul. You know you can use any of my photos at any time you want." Bless him. He's having lunch with the squad tomorrow, so he's going to pass on that the show was tonight and see if they want to reminisce by watching it on a rerun. So, but I will be putting obviously the photos up, that photo montage on there a little bit later as well. Anyway, final word to you, Aaron. It's a difficult question to answer, but how do you see next season going at the moment? Because I know, we're yet to see who'll be leaving and who'll be coming in, etc. But in general, how do you think the Lasses will fare next season?
I think they'll go in. They'll go in and they'll take the first couple of games. It's going to take them time to settle in. Obviously, the standard, like I mentioned earlier, is completely different. And to get up to speed, obviously, when I changed between going from Championship to WSL, you do go in and you get lackadaisical. You tend to, because you used to play in one sort of level, and you start playing play against these players at that level until you realise and go, oh, I'm getting caught here with the ball. I'm not quick enough here, and I'm not sharp enough there. Then all of a sudden, after a couple of games, you start to pick up speed and momentum. And I think, there's a lot. The teams that they're going to be playing against, again, the mechanisms in the background, the money that these clubs have got, the time they can spend, a lot of them are professional in that league. So they are very much clued up about that opposition, probably a lot more than they have been playing in this league. They've got more time too. They've got days where they can analyse different games from the opposition and opponents. I think they'll find that stride. I really do. I would hope, and if I'm sitting here at the end of the season and they've been promoted again, I'll be running up and down Northumberland Street with me flag, I tell you.
I thought you were going to say something else there. Because I probably would have said something else, to be fair, Aaron, but you kept yourself very dignified there.
I did. I was very wary. But yeah, I think that it's going to take them a season to bed in. I do. And I think they'll do well, top the middle table, and that would be really, really good for that first season in the Championship. If anywhere higher is a bonus. But people, I know they've done back-to-back promotions, but it's easy to get carried away with it. But we've also, as supporters, and obviously for the love of the club, and I bleed black and white, we've got to be realistic as well. And those lasses will do the hard work. Becky will be doing the homework in the background. And they will churn the results out, but it's going to take time. It's like the lads now, we've got all this money. We brought Gordon in, we brought this one in, we brought that one in, and we're pulling them in. Isaac a lot. We're building, the foundations are being built, and they're already ongoing, and we're in the middle of that process to get to where we need to be. So the end goal will be, we will be in the WSL. No mistake about it. It's going to take its time, and it's a building block. Year by year.
Sam, anything else?
Just a final one from me. Ed already gave the dates, but get yourself onto the theatreroyal.co.uk for your tickets, the 27th and the 28th of April. I've got my tickets for the Sunday, so if you see me, feel free to say hi. But I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic, and what a fantastic tip of the cap to history and a local legend. So it was really wonderful tonight, and thank you both for attending, so we could, put the spotlight on somebody who deserves it. Absolutely. And I think basically Sam will be shouting out on the shows leading up to it as well, because she'll remind me on as well. You can guarantee that, so we'll keep that at the forefront as well. But there you go. That is the show done and dusted, the celebration show. Massive thank you to Aaron and Ed for coming on and spending an hour with us tonight. I'm sure we'll see Aaron back on throughout these shows, telling us who was signed, who's leaving, things like that, and discussing the build up the next season as well, if she doesn't mind doing that. And listen,
it'll all be for next season. We're going to do loads of shows. We're going to put the spotlight right on the Lasses team on this channel, and hopefully get the popularity grown even further than it is already. Using the likes of, obviously, Newcastle Fans TV. Adam does a lot. We're going to do a lot, and it can only benefit the Lasses team to have the more and more exposure they get, the better it is. But it's how they do on the pitch as well, and the performances have been superb, and everybody is absolutely so proud of them. It's been a magical season, and we can't wait to get started next season, definitely. But thank you very much for your super chats and your new memberships, guys. That was very kind. Thank you to the mods as usual. Thanks to Sam, Aaron, and Ed, and thank you to all you guys for tuning in tonight and making this a brilliant show. We'll be back tomorrow night, the three of us, because I think Sam's doing that charity work tomorrow. So it'll be me, Alex, and Billy. We've got another, well, it's not quite a transfer show, but I've been told I've got to keep it secret until I schedule it tomorrow, but that's them too, not me. But there you go. We'll see you again at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Keep your eye open for another news video during the day as well. Ed and Aaron, if you just stay there for now, if you don't mind. And we will see you all again very soon. But thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your night, folks. Good night.
Good night.
Come back and check on some green.